Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fine.
Good morning, oh man, we got to change the lights. There we go. How are you guys this morning? Well, let's go survey the damage, shall we? It was a pretty ugly day on Friday. Oh, why did it do that? I don't see. It's not telling me about any rollovers, so whatever. Okay, starting with the treasuries. Well, now that's interesting. We're a little bit higher in the overnight. I didn't really see anything to really suggest to me that we should be up in the treasuries, but and not like it's a huge deal. I mean, these are still relatively mild moves, but it's just like we breached above the range for like the last 2 weeks. What's with that? Is there that big of a bid? A risk off trade? Okay, well, here are the equities. Equities taking a big dive this morning. And I mean, it wasn't terrible on the 30th, but it was pretty ugly. This Oracle is cratering this morning. They're down like 10% because they're going to be doing like a new offering or like they're raising money basically. And their spreads are like going way out. So there's some real concern that the entire AI bubble here is at risk. And that is why the equity markets are down. So I don't know if that's what's pushing the treasuries, but it's the most likely flow that I know of at this moment. Keep in mind, this is the first week of the month, so we will have all sorts of interesting news throughout the week. We go over that. Come and take a look at that in a bit. Now, oil was elevated for various reasons, but part of it was concerns that the U.S. is going to attack Iran. And there was some signs of de-escalation this weekend. And so here we see oil down. I think it was almost 5%. We can come and look at the... Where's my analyzer right here? Market analyzer. Oil is down 5.87%. Okay, gold and silver. Whew. Gold, that is ugly. Oh, that is ugly. But silver, I bet, is even worse, huh? Well, it's about the same. Okay, so silver. I saw so much hair pulling and so forth on social media over the weekend about gold and silver. Honestly, I'm not that irked by it. But here's what happened. China pulled a literal GameStop. They came in and they said, we think there's too much speculation going on in here. And there's basically like one ETF that they can use in China to trade gold and silver, I guess. And they basically banned people from taking new positions in that ETF. So they pulled a literal GameStop. I don't know why this isn't being talked about more. It's like the retail traders don't even know that happened. Because all the videos that I saw over the weekend are like, how is this possible? This is like one of the biggest markets. Blah, 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 blah. No, gold and silver is not very liquid. Remember, come back over here for a second. Remember the square root law. The square root law says that the impact of a really, really big order executed over a long period of time, or perhaps a group of traders all trading on the same premise, follows a square root law, right? Oh, we got to get the yellow. Follows a square root law up to a point, at which point it goes like this. Okay? That's what happened to gold and silver. And these are very illiquid markets. So when this happens, it gets insane. And yes, gold and silver took it on the nose. Now, the thing is, that's not really how most people in China were buying it. People in China were buying gold and silver on things that gave them like actual depository notes, like that they actually held gold and silver. So I think if this trade continues, I think that it could continue, rather. Okay. Just, it will probably take a while to recover, though. It might take a couple of months to recover, but I do think that gold and silver could continue. Big wild card here is, what does the dollar do? Kevin Warsh is, by some, seen as somebody that wants to gear the monetary policy more towards defending the dollar. So there are some people saying that Kevin Warsh is big negative gold and silver. We'll see. But there was a lot of people saying, oh, it's all because of Kevin Warsh. I think that China nixing that ETF a bigger deal. Okay. Then over here, we get the Japanese yen. I'm going to have to fix my dollar index over here, but no matter. The yen in a slow consolidation channel. They are getting close to places where, you know, things were before they said that could be some intervention. So we'll see if they come in and defend it here again. I think that they would. So I don't know if it makes much sense to me to be short the Japanese yen, but people are. And then Bitcoin. Oh, Bitcoin. Bitcoin really, really took it on the nose on Friday for, I don't know, just because everything else was down. The one thing that kind of perplexes me about this move is like, what was up? What was up? Yeah, maybe the dollar was up a little bit more than I realized, but I just don't, where is the money going to? I don't like that. It came out of silver, it came out of gold, it came out of Bitcoin, came out of equities, came out of oil. Like, is there anything up? I don't know, but anyways, Bitcoin was down. Michael Saylor was buying over the weekend, by the way. So Michael trying to prop things up, and it's not really working. And by the way, 7,600 is his average price. So they're starting to pressure him. If the market is able to get substantially below that, maybe could affect some people. I don't think that Michael Saylor is a forced seller, but that becomes a big psychological level that some people might be looking at. Okay, so is there anything up? Only the treasuries. I'm so excited for the bubble to get effed. Enjoy your chat GPT. you know what the funny thing is that I don't, how would I put this? I don't think that artificial intelligence is in a bubble. I think that infrastructure, data center infrastructure build out is in a bubble. I think that people are using AI. There's a really compelling use case for it. I think that it's going to be integrated into practically everybody in the business's world's workflow to some extent or another. I don't think that it's going to replace people, but I do think that everybody's going to be using it. And that definitely justifies a lot of investment into it. But the amount of people that are investing, or the amount of money that they're investing into these data centers and everything, is a little bit bonkers. And probably in part driven by Sam Altman, you know, saying crazy things like that we need to invest $1 trillion and all of that. That's really more about his ego. And then like this RAM shortage, all of those sorts of things. Like there's just too many things. Something has to give in there somewhere, right? And Oracle is kind of like in the middle of it. And I don't know. I've actually had a chance to use Oracle's cloud platform a little bit. And I mean, it works. There's nothing wrong with it, but it just feels really, I don't know, underdeveloped. Like their UI is really basic and it's harder to find and manage things through the console. And like, I don't really see they where do they have an advantage over the other platforms unless they're cheaper? So I do wonder about Oracle. I think the companies that are doing it are in bubble. I'm glad you clarified as well. We don't do that often in this subject. Yeah, I mean, it's like one of the things is that it just causes such an emotional reaction from a lot of people because they're basically coming out and saying AI is going to replace all of you. And if you don't become a rich person in the next 5 years, then you are and you and your posterity will be stuck in the underclass for the rest of time, is what people have been saying, right? You've heard that one, right? And yeah, that gets people a little uppity. At one of the places that I worked, there was a number of people that were just, what is the word, virulently anti-AI. Like if you said anything like that you used AI to generate something or something like that, they just couldn't help. They would always make a negative comment. And at the time, I was doing amazing things with it. I tell you what, AI has not been particularly useful for my development on the day trading side. even with the NinjaTrader programming, which is getting okay at now. Even with the NinjaTrader programming, I'm kind of like, nah, it's never completely right. It might say something that I'm like, oh yeah, we could do that, but it's never, if I wasn't so experienced in NinjaTrader, I kind of wonder if it would make things take longer. I don't know. But on the DevOps site reliability engineering side, oh, it can do such amazing things. And again, it's not like it can't do it all, because for starters, it needs to know what to do, right? You need to have somebody that understands the infrastructure and the different trade-offs and everything to be able to make a decision. Like the AI can come in and it can list out to you different options and things like that, but I've never had an instance where I asked it to make an architectural decision like that and it did a good job, So it's it's a force multiplier for somebody that really knows what they're doing, but in the DevOps space in particular, it just becomes insanely powerful, because so much of what I was doing, especially in site reliability engineering, is like you're managing hundreds of resources and you have to find the ARNs for them and so forth and get them all in the right file and get those sorts of configurations moved over into the cloud so that you never have to mess with it again. And the AI is just really good at that. Go and grab this piece of, you just got to tell it where to get it and it can just pull the information and do it for you. And it's really powerful. Yeah, and it's great for syntax lookups. As definitely, I think the thing that always drove me crazy about like Stack Overflow is that if I was looking for something really common, like, here in C#, we're using getters and setters. And it's like, okay, but in this situation, what's the correct syntax? In this situation, what's the correct syntax? And you would never get the right answer on Stack Overflow. Everybody would overcomplicate it. It's like sometimes on Stack Overflow, people just don't want to give you the real answer. for whatever reason. So yeah, it's and then for it to be able to give you an example that like perfectly fits into your existing code, yeah, really useful. Okay, so anyways, people don't realize the underclass is forever. Maybe it's just going to be the billionaires and everybody else. It gets into all this crazy stuff. I haven't had a lot of time to really dive into it, but I read some really crazy things about what came out in the latest trove of Epstein emails. Like, there's a lot of things that people have said that I know those are things that like were passed in by anonymous tips and aren't considered credible. But there were other things in there that was like, okay, now why wasn't this given to us before? It really did kind of, okay. But I don't know. I still think like after all of that, the most likely explanation for all of this is that it was a foreign intelligence gathering operation. Seems like it to me. What code did you change to get that to work? Okay, so I still have to change something else here. So what was it? Yes, this is gonna a little bit more complicated than just giving you a piece of code that you can put in your version. I think because it's changes to both the synthetic dollar index and the volatility thing, and I had to change the drawing function for the dollar index in particular. I'm gonna sneeze here. Hold on. Is it coming? Yes. Okay. So the dollar index overrides the drawing function so that it can draw candles down in a lower subseries. And the issue with that is that drawing function that you're overriding is also the function that draws the lines. So the lines, that's why the lines weren't showing up. So what we had to do was like change. So draw my function first and then draw their function on top of it. But you don't want the close series to be drawn, because then you get this little orange line. So that was we had kind of, when we left on Friday, we were like almost there. There was just one last little thing that I needed to change. So let's change that now and test and see if that fixes it. By the way, on the dollar index, I find the levels that it go to be a little curious. Like, it seems like they're too wide, but then at least on Friday they were bouncing off of them. They don't hard bounce like the way that they do in the treasuries, but I don't know. Do you think that the dollars are going to turn around here, or is it going to go to the next level? We'll see. Yeah, well, I don't know if there was really changes to the volatility indicator itself either. Maybe removing some things, but yeah. I'm just gonna build a new version of the archive, and we'll send that to you. So let's see here. I need to come here to this. So the thing that I need to do now is I have a little I have a property to say whether to turn on those lines or not. And when it's off, you want to have the default thing being drawn there. And if, yeah, I don't even know why I'm explaining it. I don't know if it matters, but just exclude the IV indicator in the new, because you've got one that you work on. Oh, right. Well, so let me give you, while I'm doing this, let me give you the daily volatility levels. Because I don't remember if I made changes to that to make it work. I mean, I did make some changes to that. There was some bug fixes in there. So, maybe you take that and apply your fixes to it and everything. But I don't know. How are you doing that? Do you on your machine, do you have like 2 versions of the IV indicator? Like the one that comes in the archive and then your own version of it? Or then the other thing would be, are the tweaks things that you want to apply to the dollar index? Are the tweaks drawing additional things? That's another question. Are the tweaks drawing additional things? Okay. So let me see here. I haven't made significant changes or anything. I just made it so the text box displays the IV and tick terms and whatever changes we've made together. Oh, okay. Okay, so now I have to sort something out here. Let's do it here. Okay, so when show volatility is true and it's a line chart, we want orange, right? When show volatility is false and it's a line, we want orange. When it's a candle and volatility is true, then we want transparent. And when volatility is false and it's a candle, we want orange. I think. If you didn't make any changes on the synthetic dollar index tonight, but if you made changes to this, yeah, I need a new version of that. Yeah, you do. You do need a new version of that. You don't have the synthetic dollar index one, huh? I'm gonna warn you, there's some stuff in the synthetic dollar index that you can be like, what? So running an indicator that has like 5 subseries in it, in theory is not that complicated, but in practice it ends up being really hard. And you would never know it from the code. You would never know it from the code. A lot of the code is deceptively simple, but there's just a few little things doing it the right way that you got to get right. I think you accidentally sent me the code. No, I did it. I think we did it on purpose. It doesn't matter, but anyways, your tweak to show instead of showing it in a percent, show it in a number of ticks is something that we could add and make it an option. But the first thing I got to do is I got to make sure that I'm getting this right. So I think that what I had happen was I was only doing it based on whether it was a candle or not. And so when I had the line, let's see here, then what would it do? I'll do it this way. No, that's not it. Wait, for my own sake, figure you could watch the DOM for tick quantity movements. What do you mean specifically? Man, they're selling this. It was kind of weird because just when I started the stream, there was an odd move up in the treasuries. And now the treasuries are coming back. Now, maybe the treasuries are coming back because the S&P 500 seems to be mounting a recovery. like if the IV percentage translates into a 20 tick move or whatever, you could watch the DOM for 20 tick movements in whatever direction, basically something to make it so you don't have to keep looking at a chart. We could make it so that it outputs the CSV files for you to import into NinjaTrader. Like in, let's see here. I've changed this since last I looked at it. Load data levels. You name the file. And I think it just load. Do you still have to? I thought that they changed it so that it like automatically does it for you. Yeah. Yo, no, we can totally do that. That should be not too hard. That's correct. That code's correct. I think that's right. You'd have to reformat the indicator CSV format though. Oh, no, I don't think that the medication is kicked in yet, man. So you wouldn't load the volatility.csv file. We would make another file that would basically just say what the exact price levels are. And then you would load that. And hopefully you don't have to reload it every day, but yeah. Okay. Let's do this. I thought that I needed to add it over here, but now that I've done all the things, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it was a simple one little line fix here. Okay. So basically we've got to test all of the different methods of using the dollar index here. As it pertains to whether or not you turn on volatility and whether it's a line chart or a bar chart. So, synthetic dollar index by default are candles. And the index line itself will be orange. Just correct. If you don't make it orange, then it doesn't draw anything. It's blank. So we come back over here. And we'll look at it. It's still orange. Well, you just can't be transparent. It doesn't have to be specifically orange, but I digress. Okay, line on close. Perfect. Okay. Now, we're going to come in here, which, by the way, where should we put this? Properties. I guess we should put it in just in properties. Show volatility. Okay. Very good. And then if I change it back to a candle. Very good. And now if I come in and I look at the data series, it should be transparent. Now, if I change it back, it's probably going to break, isn't it? Like if I go back to a line on close, then you're just gonna get nothing, huh? Yes. Okay. Private rush. Save rush. Yeah, I had to add the whole indicator to it. And make a whole bunch of other changes to the dollar index to make it work. Yes. And now that I've done it, I kind of realize that it was never going to work, because you can't like the dollar index is a sub indicator and you can't control where it draws. Anyways, like the whole code, or did you just include the IV indicator? You have to include the IV indicator and then add data series in the containing indicator and grab the values. Yeah. It's kind of annoying. I was kind of like, NinjaTrader should have an easier way to deal with that. Yeah, oh yikes is right. We're basically filling a void here for the users that don't have the bonafide DXY. But who actually has that? I don't think anybody using NinjaTrader is paying for that data. Actually, you know what? I bet you that we are probably in the minority of users that even have the data to do the synthetic dollar index. Like, I bet you that most people just pay for the data to get ES and that's it. That's my bet, but could be wrong. Okay, restart here. Remove. Okay. Indicators. If I did this wrong, there's a possibility of a crash here, so. Dang, that looks good. Line on close. Fly. It's transparent. Let's see. But wait, does it just like is the default? How does that work? Does it default to transparent? Okay, you know what? We should do this. This might fix it. It's just all these little things that you might not necessarily know from the code, and doesn't necessarily make sense for me to like comment on every line, but like the order of the lines, and you know, you come into a situation where there's multiple ways of doing it and Seth chooses one way. There might be a specific reason why he did it that way. That Seth guy. I'm going back to this method over here. I think that should still work. I don't know. It was just an order of operations issue. Guess we'll find out here in a second. Nope. I'm wondering if when you don't initialize brushes, it goes to transparent. That's interesting. Better. So like, if I change this to linen. Ooh, I didn't know that linen was a color. Love it. Okay. Show volatility. Good. Candles. Good. Line on close. Good. Good. Candles. Okay. I remember working with brushes on an indicator made a while back, and I don't know, it seems so complicated for something that I figured would be so simple. Yeah. If you look at mine, I mean, I guess you'll see this if I send you the synthetic dollar index, but you know, I think the thing that surprises people at first is that you need to have like a property for the brush, and then you need to have a property to serialize and deserialize the brush. But then you also want to have things to initialize those, and then the actual drawing and stuff. But yeah, it can get complicated. Okay, so with all of that said, show volatility, true. We are approaching the next IV level for the dollar index. Didn't expect that when I walked through the door. What did I want to change? Yes, this show volatility. We need to give it a display bit here. Group name, properties. Okay. Now when we come in here to the indicator, we should see show daily volatility levels. Yay. Okay. So I'm a little weirded out by this move because I guess there is some net cumulative delta change, but it's all on the short end of the curve. It's all in the 2 and the 5. In the 10-year, there's not really a net change in cumulative delta, but we came down. The Japanese yen came down, so I think it's due to the Japanese yen. But again, I'm not expecting a change in the Japanese yen, so yeah. Now the next thing on here, if I turn off auto scale, no, it doesn't change anything. Okay. So let's come back. Where's my We're at the line. Yeah, we are. You think this could all flip? Well, you know what? You need to put it on the Japanese yen, too. See where we're at on the Japanese yen. We're at a critical line in the treasury, too. So I think based on I think based purely on volatility, it could make sense to go for a reversal here. I think the issue, or let's not say the issue with that, but like the counter argument to that trade is that it may be equity bullishness that is driving this. And the market is about to open up in 5 minutes. So, you know, if it's really equities that's going to drive this, then who knows what this is going to do, right? That's how I have my chart set up for 6J yen on the top with volatility on SDX on the bottom that I wanted to have the IV indicator on, yes. So did I fix the issue where if nothing is scraped, it won't write it to the file? No matter. Now, by the way, I would also note that on our synthetic dollar index, it's not printing, it's not drawing the thing, so. Add that. Oh, wait a second. Oh, I see. Oh, wait, really? Interesting. Hmm. Epstein files are crazy. What's the craziest thing that you saw in there that like you saw, like not somebody told you or ain't, but like you read the files and you found in the files? Because I keep getting this thing where it's like people are making claims about it that I'm like, not, I don't think that's actually in there. So I guess maybe part of the reason why I'm like this is there was a thread in the day trading subreddit where somebody was trying to claim that the Epstein files validated TJR's theory about the way that markets work, that they're pushing price past everybody's stops and then back the other way. And when you read the actual email that they're citing, it's like all Epstein is doing is telling them that futures exist for shipping futures, or for shipping. Use shipping futures and let somebody else take on the risk of if things change. And just always sell this shipping futures. It's just Epstein presents it in a way that's like, yeah, and the other sucker is the one that pays for it, right? But really all he's saying is you should use shipping futures is all he's really saying. And so it didn't validate any trading strategy or way that the market behaves at all. And then everybody was like, well, prove it. And they just gave us like nonsense. They just give gobbledygook that's supposed to say that this is where it is, but they're not giving you anything. So it's like, was there more in that email chain or something? And not that I can find. But I've seen that on other things, like that they're claiming, this is proof that they were like importing children from third world countries and killing them in satanic rituals. Well, whereas I didn't see the evidence for that. Maybe that's happening. One of the things that I saw that I was a little bit like, was there was, so there's this word. I'm almost afraid to use the word, but I'm going to use it anyways. It's goyim. I think that's how they say it. But basically, in colloquial Yiddish or whatever, it just means non-Jew. It literally means not a Jew. But there's all of these things where, like in the emails, where like things like the NBA commissioner was there, and he said, "Just wait in the lobby," and he replied back, "No, that's for the goyim." So it's like, is this a genuine reflection of how these people feel about non-Jews, or is it just common among them to joke like that? They don't actually believe that. I mean, based on their politics and being very liberal, I would think that to them it's like a politically incorrect joke and that they don't actually think that. But I was really shocked that it was in there multiple times, right? By default, it says that's just joking around. I mean, when I read it, it sounds like joking around. But the reason why I say it's joking around is because I can't find a single email in there where Epstein is like serious. You know, it seems like that this guy, every response that he gives has to have some clever off-color thing in it. You know? So I just think he's not a serious person, and that's why I think probably he's just joking around. But how can you actually, there's not enough context there to really know for sure, you know? It's been quality bait for the anti-Semites online. Yeah, it is. I mean, it's just one of those kind of rules of thumb that I found is when you see the anti-Semitism, run the other way. And I mean, the issue is, Bannon did an interview with him the year that he died and it was released. Really? Yeah. Well, because he knows what he actually interesting to listen to because he knows what he's talking about. The other thing that I thought was funny is that a lot of the questions that they were asking were the kind of questions that people will come into this channel and ask us. He was basically somebody that knew a lot about the banking system, worked in the banking system, but wasn't in the banking system anymore. And so when rich people had a question about that, they would go to him for the questions that they couldn't trust their broker to answer honestly. You know? It's just a dismissive expression. Okay, so then tell me this. Because there are people that do believe, like, there are Jewish supremacists. Like, that does exist. Would they be using different language? What kind of language would they use? Right? Like, how would you differentiate the two? You get what I mean? Like just from the text alone, I don't think that we can know that. It would require us to be mind readers. All right. So I have the files in a good state. So I'm going to give you the files. I'm going to give Uzi the files here in a good state. And then I'm going to continue editing. You differentiate by reading the room. Well, but that's exactly what I'm trying to say, though, is that, like, just with the emails itself, we don't have enough information to read the room, you know? Maybe if you knew Epstein well, then you would definitely know, oh yeah, they're just joking around. Even then, I'm kind of like, joking around about it that much is kind of a little weird. Like, if I can't even remember what it would be, but like if, you know, people heard LDS missionaries talking about non-members in that, joking about non-members in that kind of way, it would probably rub them the wrong way, you know? How come I can't set that there? That's interesting. Fine. Turn. Oops. There we go. That's why Trump always has his foot in his mouth, because he doesn't consider how people decode what he says. Yeah, well, not just that, but I think that he spends a lot of time. Well, I think that personally, he jokes about a lot of things that a person shouldn't. Oh. Oh, jeez. Oh, jeez. All this shit. Okay. I wonder, can I do this? This might be interesting. This might be interesting. No, but doesn't fix. So the next thing that I'm trying to do is getting it to draw the little text box. And to get it to do it on the synthetic dollar index, because we basically added the indicator in, but then the synthetic dollar index still has to do all the drawing. So we have to get the synthetic dollar index to draw the text. And one of the things that it needs is the date. My font doesn't exist, huh? Why is that there? I don't think that should be done in there. I think that I made that just as a quick hack. Just missed it for some reason. I don't know. I thought you guys were going to give me some examples, but no. Let's just change it to one of these. No, let's not do that. Let's make it... I always say to my Jewish friend, but what do I know? I'm just a goy. Okay. I guess the kind of the thing that I'm looking for when I'm asking that question is that something that you would hear a typical Jew joke about? And it kind of sounds to me like maybe it's considered an off-color joke, but that, yes, it is. Right. By default says yes. Because that I'm seeing the anti-Semites out there just going wild with it. And I don't think that's what it is. They're saying, oh, these people believe that everybody is going to be servants to the Jews, and if you're not a Jew, then you're probably less smart and not as talented and yada, yada, yada. And I don't think they believe that. I certainly don't think that any of the people I worked with when I was in the banking industry that were Jewish believe that. I'd be really, really shocked if any of them did. Because Jewish people were always the most understanding and accepting, I felt. Because if you're Mormon and you go outside of Utah and you tell people that you're Mormon, you can immediately see them processing it, and you can almost tell by their reaction in their eyes and everything how they feel about Mormons, and if they have an inherent bias against Mormons, which most of the time they do. But not Jews, because Jews are like used to, every culture has, and Mormons definitely have that. But Jews are used to being discriminated like that, so they understand it. Well, I don't think I can do this without passing in. Oh, actually, we can do it. We can do it. Oh, I see where I screwed up. So anyways, I don't know. I would like to find a place where I can download like the whole archive, the whole Epstein archive, and give it to an LLM. And then ask the LLM, because right now ChatGPT is not really no. But if I give it to an LLM and then I could ask it questions about it, and I could ask it like, what are some of the best market insights from the files? Like, because it seems to me like that there's a lot of useful information just about markets and the world and how to approach the world. And maybe also why people trusted him so much. People probably trusted him so much because he was a, but what about him was a good talker? Because I just don't see anything in there that makes me go like, yeah, this guy was really good talking. Like, I would really trust him. In fact, everything that I've read coming from him is like, this guy is a douche. You know? Dollar doing that thing. Oh, you're right. They did reverse. But it didn't result in any change in the treasuries, did it? E-mini keeps going up. So it still seems to me like the E-mini is going up, and so the treasuries are giving up their overnight gains. Is it further than? No, we're just back to basically where we were. Maybe rich people are just a whole lot dumber than we think. I think that there's this assumption that rich people are more intelligent or whatever. And I'm going to bet you that in terms of like their like genetic intelligence capacity, that it's probably statistically no different from the rest of the population. They probably have a higher propensity to take risks. So that might explain some of the behavior that we see from him, right? If you have somebody that has a higher propensity to take risks, then they're going to have a higher propensity to say something that's very off color, right? Okay, that didn't work. But that did. We have to pass more into it than that. That. That's crazy how the Ivy level hits on that. Well, you know, that part doesn't surprise me. The question is, why not this one and this one, right? I suppose we could have assumed that it was going to be a bigger day, but... And then if we were going to say, well, okay, why did it come to the regular session one and not... Yeah, anyways. Or why this line and not this line? There we go. Oh, now that's interesting. Okay, so if we come over and we do this one. Nope. Does it? Is it putting them on? It's not. It's not even making them. Yeah, it doesn't work. Because it's drawing it on the sub indicator, and then the sub indicator probably doesn't have the correct draw. Yeah, it might be drawn up here. Let's see here, drawing objects. No. So now that I have that, I have to maybe I should just be drawing it manually. I don't know. I'm gonna try one more thing. No, none of that. I'm going to have to add all. I'm trying to avoid adding all of this stuff to draw the text into the synthetic dollar index, but it looks like I can't get around it. Okay, we got some news coming up here. ISM. This is an important number.
Block cell.
Ooh. Ooh. Okay, so ISM manufacturing PMI, we got 52.6 versus an expected 48.5. Prices paid was slightly below expectation, but that's a pretty good beat because we were expecting ISM to be in contraction, and we've been in contraction for a long time. So manufacturing going up, good thing for the economy, but perhaps pressure on inflation. I shouldn't always say like ISM being good, that's inflationary, because it kind of depends on how much stuff are we making relative to the amount of money that we've made. So there can be situations where all of that ends up being deflationary because it means that we're making more stuff. And as long as the amount of stuff that we're making outpaces the amount of demand, it's good. Deflation. This will be a report that will be interesting to dig into because I think one of the questions people will start to ask now is, does this mean that Donald Trump's plan is working? So this is because up until now, manufacturing has still sucked the past year. So that's a very, now I wonder if there's also, could be some, well, we're going to go down to the lower end of this range, aren't we? Well, we'll see what happens when we hit there. Anyways, for this side in NinjaTrader, I think I will revert back to the versions that I gave Uzi and then add the IV bit there into the dollar index, which seems silly to me, but yeah. So join us next time. Till then, stay excellent.